place Arizona basketball in the Big 12. How does that sound? Let's get started here.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, Arizona basketball gets back on the winning side. A big victory for the Cats. And I think the thing that you got to look at, too, and you got to be very excited about is Caleb Love appears to be back. Our Caleb Love, my Caleb Love, your Caleb Love, all of our Caleb Loves. Caleb, listen, we've said this from day one, that if Caleb Love isn't good, Arizona's not going to be good. There is just it's just really that simple. Really, it's pretty much all that comes down to. So when you've got that, you've also got something that you can build with, you can work on, and that is something that's very exciting about that. Now, here's a couple things that we do need to talk about, though. First things first, my friends. Getting that look back with Caleb Love. And what I loved about Caleb Love is that he is going to the hoop, he's driving, he's doing all kinds of really nice things. And when he gets into the paint, he's creating for others. That's a nice thing. And the shot looks good. Brad Allis made an interesting point. You need an unselfish Caleb Love to get an selfish Caleb Love, because when he starts going, when he starts heating up, then all of a sudden things will look a little bit better for the Wildcats. And I think that's a part that's very interesting about all of this. Now, with the other guy, too, that we need to talk about, too, is Henri Veesaar. Henri Veesaar, my bad, Henri Veesaar. We are coming very close to that. We are coming very close to that. But a big part of this, too, is that with Henri Veesaar, he's shooting the three, he's finishing around the hoop, he's blocking shots, he's rebounding, he's doing a lot of different things, and it's very exciting. That's a cool part about all of this. Now, when it comes to Arizona and when it comes to Henri Veesaar, he's got to start, in my opinion. And not only does he have to start, he has to be the guy that he has to be the dude who is probably playing 28, 29 minutes per game. I think it's fair to say at this stage that Trey Townsend is just not very good. I would love to see a lineup where you have Tobe Awaka or Carter Bryant and you have Big Henry up front. I am more than okay with that one, and I think that we should all be okay with that. But Henry's got to start at this point. Henry is a beast. I was wrong on Henri Veesaar. I was wrong. My bad, Henry. But one guy too that we have to talk about as well, and that he's just a problem for the U of A, is that Trey Townsend. In my opinion, I think we're this far along, but he's just not good enough. I don't know what else to say. He's just not good enough. He can't rebound. He doesn't really show effort on the rebounding either, which really bothers me. That part I don't like at all. So there's obviously that. But the thing that I think you also need to look at is what is he doing for you out there? And the problem is that he's turning the ball over left and right. When he dribbles the ball, that ball is going away from him immediately, and that's just something that you can't really have. When the ball is just being slapped away from you, teams want you to do that. He can't really finish around the basket. He can't really. There's just a lot of stuff he can't really do, and I think that's the part that is concerning about all of this. So we will see. But I do think we are at the stage in a stage in the game, though, where you know that he's not very good. I think it's also fair to say that we also know that what Tobe Awaka can do. Tobe Awaka can do some really good things for the Wildcats. I don't think that there's really any doubt about it. He can get some rebounds. He can do some, like I said, he can do some really good stuff. But I think the problem with him, though, is that, you know, again, he can defensively, he can be a little bit, he can drag his feet a little bit. That's obviously not the best thing in the world. I also think, too, that it's when you watch him though, he can do some good things, and that's why I am not all out on Tobe Awaka. I would play Tobe Awaka, but at the same time, I am not a fan of. I just don't know how you can. I just don't know how you can continue to go with Trey Townsend. I don't really know. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me because this is kind of the situation where this is kind of the situation where you're like, what to do about Trey Townsend. We'll find out. Now, Carter Bryant, got to play Carter Bryant more. Carter Bryant is now in the spot where I think you just got to play him more. I don't know what else to say. I think you just got to play more. I think you've got to let him. I think you got to let him, work through his stuff, and not only work through his stuff, but the 3-point shot that he shot. Brad Ellis made this in the post game. Was a very, very, that was a confident looking three. That was a 3-pointer that you could tell it was in rhythm. And you can tell there's going to be a game, especially too if he's a sophomore, where he's probably going to go for 6 or 7 threes if he's here because he's got that type of a talent to him. He's got that type of ability. It's exciting to watch him. It's exciting to see what he can really do. And I think that's the part that I think we're excited to see where he can actually factor into all of that. So we will find that one out. But overall, a win is a win. Arizona needed to get back in the winning column. You need to be able to get some really good juju going, and you got that one going. And I think that's what's exciting about all of that is that you at least got this one going. And with when it comes to this team, though, this is a squad, though, that I also think you've still got some upside. I think you've got the ability to be able to. I think you've got the ability to be able to do some things against like a TCU of the world or it's a building block. Then you go on to Cincinnati after that. Cincinnati's going to be an interesting game. But Arizona needed this victory so you could at least get the Power 5 thing off your back about, Power 4 thing about, Tommy Lloyd hasn't won any games. That is not that's not something that you really want to have on there. And we're going to talk about what this means going forward. But first, Rocket Money, my friends, Rocket Money. Here is the deal with Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find subscriptions you forgot that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it easy to track them down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. All right, cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com and rocketmoney.com/locked on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on, rocketmoney.com/locked on. Again, for me, one of the best features of this was the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Again, plus their goals features, it makes things even easier for you as well. Check it out at Rocket Money. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about where we are at then with Arizona. Listen, Cincinnati's a winnable game. The problem, you're going into Cincinnati, but Arizona, here's what the old Lute Olson thing I think was kind of the benchmark in that you want to be able to hold serve at home, and you want to be able to split on the road. This would be a nice little way. If you could beat Cincinnati, Cincinnati's a solid team. If you can beat Cincinnati, then I think that becomes a very, all of a sudden you're like, all right, maybe, things are getting a little bit easier for the Cats. Maybe they're starting to figure this one out a little bit. We will find that out. I am not exactly sure on that one though, but we will find that out. I am excited though to see how this does play out because listen. You needed Caleb Love to be back. You need Caleb Love to be able to do what he can do, and I think so far he's been the guy that has been disappointing, but if you got All-American Caleb Love, you're going to have a chance in every single game, and I think that's what's exciting about all of this. Now, the other person, too, that I think we need to talk about a little bit as well is Delhi. Delhi is going to be very, very much matchup specific. And I don't think I'm breaking any news. I just think that that's fair to say. Delhi is going to be a matchup specific player. And there's going to be some games where Delhi can't play. There's going to be some games where he can. If he's making his shot, he should be out there. If not, then it is what it is. Jaden Bradley didn't have a good game, but we'll be okay. Either way, Arizona needs to be able to, if Arizona can beat Cincinnati, I think all of a sudden you start looking around and you're like, all right, you got Cincinnati, Arizona, you got Cincinnati, West Virginia, Oklahoma State. You got a lot of winnable games in there. So we'll find out exactly how that plays out. But I'm excited. I think that there's a real possibility that Arizona can go on a little bit of a run here. And if they can go on a little bit of a run, then feel pretty good about things. Now, when it comes to what you're looking for then going forward, again, Carter Bryant, I need more Carter Bryant. I need more Carter Bryant. Will be very, very simple. More Carter Bryant, please. And if you can get more Carter Bryant, then I think that's a good thing, obviously, for the University of Arizona as well. We'll obviously see how that plays out, but I think it's fair to say at this stage of the game that he's a very talented basketball player, and he needs to play more, not less. And if he plays more, not less, then I think you feel pretty good about the situation that you are in. Okay, now, we're going to take a quick little break, and then we're going to come back, and then we are going to talk about a little bit of Arizona football, what some of the latest little moves are. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about Fisher K-Mac. That is a defensive end that Arizona would love to get again at Nevada or UNLV last year. 7.5 sacks. A big kid out of Phoenix originally. If Arizona can hold him, or if Arizona could get him, that would be a massive, massive boom for the Wildcats because he is, Arizona needs players. Like I said, you got Trey Smith at one of the defensive ends, obviously. If you could get him as well on the other side, I think you feel pretty good about things. I think that would definitely be an upgrade over Ty Ty. And then on the inside, then you would have, you have Chuba, which, obviously, and then not only would you have Chuba, but you'd have Isaiah Johnson. Maybe you could get some other players in there, but that would be nice. Arizona needs pass rusher help. There's another one. I'm not really breaking any news here. Arizona needs pass rusher help. If they can get pass rusher help, then I think that you are in a much better predicament. Now, when it comes to the linebackers, I think that at the linebacker level, it's going to be fascinating because obviously you lost Jacob Manu, went up to SRS, but at the same time, Tay Brown, I think, showed some real ability this past year. You're also bringing in another one who's an all-conference type player. We'll see how that plays out because, again, Jacob Manu was not good this past year. I don't know how much of that was the coaching. I don't know how much of that was Jacob Manu. I don't know exactly what all of that was. But either way, they're in a good spot. Now, they're in a better spot. How about that? Now, Marquise Groves-Killebrew is in the transfer portal. Sounds like he might be visiting. I don't know if he's visiting Nebraska or where he's visiting. We'll find out what happens to him. But this is one of those spots, too, where, I think with Groves-Killebrew, he was not guaranteed to start, but likely a starter. And sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side. We'll see how that plays out. But Javion Cole likely going to start. Dansby, depth. I don't really want him starting, but if he is if he's one of those, then if he's brought in for depth, then I'm totally cool with that. I can wrap my head around that. But again, a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of parts being moved around here, which is going to be very, very exciting for Arizona and Arizona football fans. Either way, not a bad offseason so far. Like I said, the lines still scare me. That's obviously a part of it. The line terrifies me. But at the other stage, though, I think you can also say that Arizona's probably in pretty good shape for some of these players that could be some real difference makers. Okay, now we're going to be back with you tomorrow. We're going to be talking about more of this. Maybe some of this stuff becomes public. Maybe it doesn't. We will see. And with Arizona football, with Arizona football, who are some of those guys. And we're also going to start getting you ready for Cincinnati, because again, if Arizona can beat Cincinnati, now all of a sudden you're playing with a little bit of you're cooking with a little bit of grease or gas, whatever it is. But on that note, though, very much appreciate you listening to this post game. You have been listening to the Locked On Wildcats podcast.